Well. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Long Run Podcast, courtesy of the 40 Runs running community. Now, Chris just told us that Nicola, his good lady, has had him decorating downstairs most of the day. And I would suggest that he could probably have a little bit more to do than the old decorating department, because plainly he's got too much time on his hands doing these funky openings for the.
No, I'll tell you what it is. I was watching Cobra Kai. I've been watching Cobra Kai, and I'm all inspired by like the 80s. So I thought we've got to do an 80s opening.
Yeah, well, the 80s were great. We do remember them, all of us. Well, Toby probably doesn't. How old were you in the 80s, Toby?
Where was you, Toby?
Which part?
Toby, what year was you born?
89.
Oh, you got in by a short head.
I did.
Cool. Just got out of 89. I was doing my GCSEs in 89. What was you doing in 89 now? National service?
Getting his pension.
Married, were you? Oh, that's brilliant. Well, thanks ever so much for joining us, everybody. Welcome along again to the Long Run Podcast. We're here every Friday on YouTube and hopefully Facebook. We weren't last week, but Toby's weaving his magic.
On Facebook.
We're on Facebook this week. Brilliant.
Well done, Toby.
We'll be here for the next hour and probably a little bit or a little bit less, around that anyway, just talking everyday runner issues and bits and bobs. So please join us and give us your comments and throw your questions at us, and then we'll try to get to as many as possible during the chat. Like I say, thanks ever so much for joining us. Chris Ford, how was your week, sir?
Well, yeah, I'll come on to it actually. Firstly, I just want to give a shout out for the National Running Show. If anybody's not got tickets for that, you can get tickets. Use the code 40 runs, all one word, and you're going to get free tickets. That's next week in Birmingham. Big running show going ahead in Birmingham. So if you want free tickets for that, use the code 40 runs and get yourself along. It's a 2-day big deal going on at the Birmingham NEC. So that's next week. And yeah, Toby, well done. Thanks for putting it up on the screen, but that won't help anybody listening to the podcast. And if you're listening to the podcast after, what's next weekend? 21st, 22nd, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed the running show.
Yeah,
so,
don't phone in because your result may soon. You could be charged, and it won't count.
Yeah, but no, in general, okay week, busy as always. Really, really, really positive sessions this week with the club. We I lost my mind on Monday because we had like 15 new ladies turn up to our ladies running club on top of the ones we have on top of that. It was amazing because a lot of them were doing the couch to 5K. And then we had like 24 ladies inquire the day after about it as well. So that was great. And then the rest of the clubs this week, we had a great session on Tuesday, Wilco, I think. And
yeah, we did.
The guys on Wednesday, I called it the special session. They loved that. And the kids were rocking it out this week. Yeah, so just in general, yeah, great. Also seeing all the satellite clubs with new members this week was great as well. So yeah, just buzzing really about that. Obviously, you know, it's a busy time at the club. People wanting to get out, get back running, or take up running and all that kind, or maybe starting to train for something. And yeah, so yeah, super busy, super pumped, just excited. Really, to see what's going on within the club actually and the community. It's fantastic. I don't know about you boys, but I just can't wait to get sort of the spring races up and going. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I think getting back to what we do best, you know, wearing pink, shouting at each other and having some fun. I'm really looking forward to that, to get back to that. But even today was quite nice when it was quite sunny, quite warm. And actually the evenings ain't as dark as they used to be. So yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
See that light at the end of the tunnel. It has been a busy week, and it would be remiss of us not to mention the desperate news that came out of Ireland this week about Ashley Murphy, 23-year-old primary school teacher from County Offaly, who went out for a run and was murdered. It's absolutely, you know, we send our condolences to all her family. She's a primary school teacher teaching kids of 6 and 7. So we send, you know, all our best wishes to them. There's not really much to debate about this because everybody, regardless of age, gender, sexuality, how they identify, everybody has the right to go about their business in a peaceful manner and do what they like to do. what has happened to Aisling is absolutely terrible, and we could sit here saying, well, people shouldn't go out on their own, shouldn't do anything, which is all rubbish. You should be able to do whatever you want, when you want, with who you want, regardless of what your personal position is. So she was only going out for a run, and we are very sorry about what has happened. So we thought we had to mention this because, you know, it is a very bad thing. We did get one email, which is perhaps, you know, there is some relevance to this. Thanks ever so much for Rob Sayer for getting in touch with us. He said, in the light of the terrible news, it's made me very aware that I want to be able to know where my wife is and that she's safe when she's running alone. I today downloaded an app called Life 360, which is free for 2 users. It allows me to see a live map of exactly where she is. It tells me where she leaves home, etc., etc. So perhaps that's something, Live 360, that you might want to think about. Regardless of who you are, you know, if you're going out on your own, you should be telling people where you're going. That's the central bit. I also when I go, I always let someone know, because I'm often running on my own. 80% of the time I'm running on my own. And I always tell people where I'm going to go. And I wear my original Park Run wristband as well, because it's got my emergency details on it. So obviously, you know, we're not going to put everybody in a state of panic and all this sort of thing about what happens, because we go out and run and that's what we do. But there are a few little precautions that perhaps, you know, veer on sensibility. So I think, you know, I'm sure I speak for all of us what we think about that subject. So I'd like to think that we'll send Aisling and all her family our best, and we'll try and, you know, look forward and carry on with the rest of the chat for the next hour or so, Chris.
Well said, mate. Well said. Good.
Okay, so what the hell are we going to talk about? Well,
I don't know. What are we going to talk about?
I just want to have a quick shout out to Linda Robinson, who gave us a lovely mention on Strava saying that she was at work and
yes,
to the podcast.
Yes, I'm getting this a lot now, Wilco. We picked Linda out, but I'm getting this a lot from you guys, and thank you very much as always for giving a shout out. So obviously the pod's gone a bit mad, boys. I don't know if you've realised, but there's actually people that are listening to this and like downloading it and stuff. Because I'm getting it more and more about, I love listening to it. We was at Park Run the other day, Gunpowder Tide, wasn't it? And some chap come up to me, we like talking about like we do. I just finished. I was just listening to your last episode, and did you? Someone tagged me, Chris from Here We Are Running. He'd done a video the other week, and he listened, had been listening to the show, and he said that he was laughing out loud and he was running along listening to it. So big shout out to Chris. Thanks for the
big shout out to Chris as well, because he does some Here We Are Running. He does cracking YouTube. And what I mean, I've watched his videos, and what I like about them is that they are boots and, you know, they're mud and bullets stuff. You know, he did thing where he had a bit of a nightmare at the Edinburgh Marathon. He fully documented that, and he DNF'd at Manchester this year, and it was all about that. He's not just sort of like all singing and dancing, look how wonderful I am, you know. He really gets across the emotional sort of stuff, and I really like his content. So hopefully soon we can get him along, and then we can quiz him and have a bit of a chat about his running journey, because
he's a top man.
It comes across as a top bloke, and
no, he is. He's a genuine. I've been lucky enough to spend some time with him. He's part of the Ragnar team. He's a genuine nice guy. He's, you know, his family's lovely. He's just a top man. I actually did. I don't know if you saw it, Wilco. I did a park run with him once. He was trying to beat a park run time, and he invited me down to do that. That was a bit of a giggle, and I think I hammered him because he didn't go under 20 minutes as usual. But Toad, feel familiar?
There's a recurring theme here, isn't there?
But no, he's a top man, and I think we should try and get him on the channel. Actually, he's got a great YouTube channel, so check it out. Here We Are Running, and actually, I just can I just give a shout out now, actually, to another YouTube channel, because I love them, and you'll find out why in a couple of weeks. But if nobody's seen it, check out This Messy Happy. It's Ben and Mary. They live in Thailand, a couple of teachers. Ben's like a qualified guru, triathlete, mentalist, coach bloke. He's just a great guy. But his wife is an absolute machine. Mary is a machine. And they've just moved out to Thailand. So check that out, This Messy Happy. Great couple and a great channel. And Alan, what you're wearing looks very similar to their merch. So I did have to look twice. That's why I was looking at you the other night when you was wearing that, because I thought that you've got, but it's the rock up and what is it?
It's the Liverpool half marathon 2021.
Which is not taking place, is it, this year?
No, they're finished, done.
They poo-pooed it.
They've
Oh, we've
stopped
got some-
Went on
rocking
a
and they've
high.
stopped
They had to be
rolling.
there and they finished.
Thanks for all the questions in the chat, people. Keep them coming in. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about. I put a video out today about a couple of things that I'm going to do this year, and in the video, there's actually 3 things, and they're 3 things that I think if you do as a runner, and if we all do them, it'll actually make us like better runners. So we'll come on to that in a bit.
Yeah,
But
we're going to link up to that in a bit.
yeah, so stick any comments or any suggestions in the chats. You know, obviously it doesn't help on the podcast, but you can always email in at something.com@gmail, something or other.
Longrunshow@gmail.com.
There we go. Send them into that. Any tips or hints, or actually, I was thinking about this the other day. If there's anything you want us to discuss in terms of helping you out with your running, if you want to come on the show or whatever, don't forget. I know most of the time we are mucking about and, you know, come across as idiots, but believe it or not, there's 3 qualified running coaches. I'm also an athletics coach on top of that, sitting here. I know you wouldn't believe it from the nonsense we talk. So if there is anything technical, whatever that you want us to help you out with, drop us an email at something.com and we will help you out. But boys, I had a great email this week, sponsorship.
Oh, go on then.
I'm not gonna tell you the name of the company because I don't really want to name and shame them. But it's another one of those that's clearly not listening to any of the show. And they I don't know what it is. They must just get like email addresses from like they must buy them or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one was a car cleaning product. So we could clean our cars out. I think it's like a Hoover. It basically is a Hoover. But anyway, they wanted us to promote it on the podcast. But I'm not going to give the name because otherwise we are. But it looks a cracking product, probably breaking about a day. But Tobe, I was thinking of you really because I know you got 3 cars. One for your girlfriend, one for you, and then you obviously
Surely
got the
that's
other
just
one.
going to burn it out.
No, I've got 2.
Yeah. Well, and obviously she's got the one you gave her. But you can just sort of So I thought so. But anyway, again, people, we are not bowing to this. We're not having it.
No.
We are not. I know Marathon Talk's gone, and there's been like a vacuum created, and all these sponsors are jumping all over us.
We're going in.
We ain't having it. We ain't having it unless you've got
really
bags.
good.
Yeah, unless you've got bags of money. We will take any serious offer.
Or you happen to be amazing and do like burger and chips.
Yeah, amazing. I was so tempted. Right, we was teaching on Tuesday. This is how bad it is. This is your fault, Al, because you've created me being a vegan and all that. Now, I was at Ware Drill Hall just about to teach the kids, and opposite I spotted. It's called See Something or Other. I'm going to find it. What is it?
Seaways.
Have you noticed how he knows the name?
Oh yeah,
Straight in there.
You couldn't help but smell it.
The smell, right? You know that fish. You just know that smell. Like if you're down in Southend, anyone or you're beaten at the seaside, and you get that salt and vinegar smell, don't you?
Oh,
Al, it nearly turned me back. It nearly. So do you know what I did, Al? This is how good a boy I was. I went and got a Americano from the co-op. Be fair.
As long as it was black.
He was.
Oh, yeah.
Be fair. Yeah, I didn't succumb to
as
it.
long
but I
as
tell
it
you what,
was black. You're dealing with a couple of pros here, mate.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
we had a crack.
I had mushroom bolognese the other day. It's blinding from Aldi.
Yeah,
Big
and I
shout out
cooked
Aldi.
out of the Bosch book. I cooked the mushroom stroganoff. Lovely.
Good.
Very good.
Glad. Ty, just needs you to make a full house.
A what?
A full house of vegans on this
Of
show.
He
Oh,
didn't
hang
have
on.
much room after he stuffed that McDonald's down his cake hole.
So, where's the
Which one?
t-shirts gone from behind you?
I haven't been to McDonald's for like this year.
Oh, on that, because we've
What
got
a
to move on to
sacrifice.
we've got to move on to running. I'm going to give some consumer advice to everybody, and then we're going to move and talk about running, people. So stick with us. We will get to the running bit in a minute. 2 things. One, has everybody seen that KFC got a vegan burger? I'm going there tomorrow to try it. 2, if you go for the McBean burger, you need to double up it's a great burger. But if you have one, you're going to be left disappointed. You need to double up, okay?
Is it McBean or is it McPlant?
Or whatever it is. Whatever it is.
No, if you can give consumer advice, it should be correct.
Well, I know what it's called.
We don't
But
want to put people away.
only has one patty, whereas Big Mac has two. So
whatever it
your
is,
logic's not wrong, Chris. You have got to double up to
you
match
need
Big Mac.
people, if you're serious about this veganuary and you're like me, you're a part-time vegan, you've got to smash it, but you've got to smash it twice. So go in there, don't muck about on that screen, hit ×2. Okay? Have it.
Oh, Sabrina's not having it. 4 out of 10, she says.
Yeah, but I mean, can
Sabrina,
we really
try the
rely on
nuggets.
taste?
The
Can we
nuggets
really,
are coming out.
what do we think? Now, let us know in the comments if you've had the KFC burger, but also, do you think that you know, like me, you should have 2 McBean burgers? Right. Anyway, boys, should we talk about some running?
Should we talk about running now? Should we talk about the next big thing, the next big event, or
What's
should
that?
we just Ben Nevis? Should we talk about that?
Oh
now?
yeah. If anybody wants to run up a mountain and down it, or you can walk it, email. What's the email? We'll get them to email the show.
Yeah, longmanshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, basically in September the 17th, Saturday, we're going to be going up the pony track, which allegedly is the easiest. It's 1,300 meters elevation, and you can run parts of it. So if you want to come up there and try and beat Speedgoat, then let's have it. Now, Ben Park, I don't know whether anybody follows him, YouTube channel. He went up and down it in 3 hours. Now, he runs a marathon in 2 hours 35, which he's quite happy to tell everyone. But he done that in 2 hours and 35 minutes. So he did it in just under 3 hours. So I'm aiming for Tobe to do the same. Even though that look at his face. But I'm thinking realistically, we are looking for a sub 4, I would say.
How far actually is it?
Right, so it's 10.5 mile round trek. You've got it's 7 and something K up. Now the thing is with it, which is different to Snowdon, is that the traily bit are very rocky, where Snowdon was a bit gravelly, and there's more sort of steps, like the big boulder steps, and all that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, as this Facebook user who I know this is because he was with me at the time. Have you ever beaten Ben Parks over 200 meters? I know someone who has, young William, and I was there. Yeah, that was an interesting evening. I'll tell you about that when we're not on air because I don't get any criticism for it.
Perhaps we'll get him on.
Yeah, no. No, I don't think we'll get. But in all seriousness, great channel. Honestly, if that's your thing, check it out.
Yeah, well produced stuff, really good. Cheers,
channel.
Ben.
So check that out. But yeah, so Ben Nevis, if anybody wants to get involved in that, give us a shout at something.com. Right.
longmanshow@gmail.com.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so Chris, as Chris alluded to earlier, that he put out a video. This morning was it?
Yeah, it was this morning. Yeah.
Fresh. Talk about fresh content.
I'll make you laugh, Wilco. I forgot I made it. I was actually expecting another video to come out today on a pair of running shoes that we've done. And that one popped down instead.
Yeah. Oh, I've done this.
Yeah, it was.
So, to surmise, it's sort of 3 things that you should try and adopt into. It's like a sort of like a preparation for your half marathon and your marathon plans, isn't it? But like adjusting your mindset about how you're going to approach this sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of going into whatever training you're doing right now, whether it be couch to 5K, whether it be 10K training, half, trying to beat a park run time, marathon training, which Al's doing very well at. He's not even going to smile. Is he frozen? No, he's
just
doesn't look like it.
He's just, it's the idea is for everyone, and it's 3 things that pretty much I tell most of the clients that I get. Right, first thing is to sort of unburden them, but also, unlock some of the things in their mind about thinking about their training a little bit differently. Because, we all sometimes get into that rut of just going out and and
And
running.
I'm sure everybody, whatever your experience is, we're always looking forward to the next event being our best one and doing better than we did last time. So all these little things can help you along the way, can't they? So, do you want to? Should we take them in turn then? If we start with the first
I
one, then,
can't
mate,
remember
and
what
we'll
they
talk
were.
about that.
I can't remember. I'll be honest with you, Wilk. I can't remember. I made the video so long ago. I can't remember what
I'll
it
tell
was.
you what. Yeah, it actually the sun was shining and he was in his vest and shorts.
Was I?
Yeah, people were singing "Football's Coming Home" when he was doing this.
I ain't got a clue. Honestly, I've not watched it. I made. Right, so
Okay, well, it's a good job I wrote them down then, isn't
So
it?
let's just give people an insight into how we do this stuff on for the YouTube channel, right? Basically, as you guys know how busy I am, I batch put together, videos. Yeah, I create content about 6 to 8 weeks ahead, and I batch them up. So I'll make 4 to 5 videos a go, and I'll block them up and I'll batch them up, and then I'll put them together. So, like sometimes a pair of shoes, like I've got 4 or 5 reviews that are coming out that I've been wearing for a long time, but because because of the way the channel works, and I don't have the capacity to do a daily vlog and a daily video and all this. I simply don't have time. So I batch stuff, but the problem can happen is that you forget what you've made and you forget what you schedule.
So it's a good job that we haven't highlighted this by saying, why don't we talk about this? And then we've dropped him in it.
I mean, we
Because
could
we
have been
ain't got
talking
a
about
dang
the
what's going
Adidas
on, but
Adidas
then-
Star today. That's the shoe that was meant to come out, was the Adidas Adidas Star. I genuinely thought that was the video that's coming out. So it was a surprise. But anyway, thanks to
Okay.
everyone who's watched.
So hopefully, if I give you a little sentence, you'll be able to expand
Yeah.
upon it and you'll remember what you actually said on this occasion. Okay. So number one, you said, get rid of baggage.
Oh, yes.
Would you like to extrapolate?
Yeah, I think, and this, by the way, the 3 things I spoke about, because I do remember making the video, is 3 things I need to do, right? So this is not just me trying to preach. These are 3 things that I've got to do as well. Which again is one of the reasons why I make the videos, is to say, look, I'm doing this. I'm going to go and run this, and so it's following what I'm doing. Well, you don't have to follow it, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So getting rid of that baggage. So trying to release all that BS that's in your head about whether it be running times, running distance. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do that. I did this before. My knee hurt when I did this. Oh, I've got to get 16 miles done next week. And it's all this I've got. And you're focused on everything else that's all around you that actually is relatively irrelevant. What you need to focus on is what you can control. And what you can control is your next run. And by breaking it down and clearing away all that nonsense and all that noise that can cause anxiety, that can cause additional stress around your running and your plan, can actually release you up. So if you've got a 16-week plan that you're just about to start, why are you focused on week 15 and 16? Why are you worrying about race day? Yes, you should be taking into consideration elements like pace and things like that, but later on, focus on what you're doing now. Focus on the run that you're doing now, and forget about everything else, because it is baggage that you carry around with you and carry you on that with you on the run. Now, I'll give you an example. I was out there the other day. I messaged Tobe. I said, I just done 7.5K. How the hell am I going to run 26.2 miles in 3 hours and 45 minutes? I've got no idea what I'm doing. What's going on? Why step back? Why am I letting that get into my head? Why am I carrying that around with me? I carried that with me for the 2 or 3 runs afterwards. But you want to get rid of all that. Why am I worrying about the time? 3:45. I'm at the start of a plan. I know I've done enough of these fat plans now, and I wrote the plan. So all I need to focus on for the first 3 weeks is just building my base, getting my consistency back, and finding my feet and getting those longer runs in, and just doing a little bit of speed work, but not too much. That's all I need to focus on.
Yeah. So anyway, as a coach, what do you think the best way is for people to lock into the moment and get rid of all the sort of white noise between their ears?
Well, it's interesting what Chris says about not looking too far ahead. From my perspective, when I first started out chasing plans and marathons, like Chris says, I'd have all 16 weeks and I'd try and second guess where I was doing races. I got to the point where I kind of stepped away from that, just looked at the next couple of runs rather than seeing the big picture and the scariness of 18 weeks and 5 or 6 runs a week at all various paces. And I think I've mastered it now because I don't even bother writing it down, so I don't even follow it.
You don't write it down?
No, it makes it
Well, the
so
whole
much
thing.
easier if you've got no idea what you're doing. You can't stress about it. No, that's slightly
I mean,
facetious.
I've found when I've followed, I did. People might not know. I don't just bang on this for the same sake of it, But it was I did my first marathon this year, so my first proper sort of marathon plan. But I did, I would write down a week of what I was doing on a Sunday night. I'd say, right, okay, what am I going to do this week from the main plan? But I'd only consult the main plan on a Sunday night when I was doing my thing. I wouldn't be looking at it. Oh God, I've got to do this on week 12 and all that sort of thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Just looking a couple of runs ahead, so you've got an idea of what the next couple of days looks like, because you can always go back and reassess and then reflect and then make adjustments.
Well, also as well that all the other things will creep up that are going to come at that sort of juncture, don't they? So that you've got, oh right, yeah, I've got to pick my daughter up from here on Thursday. That might be a bit of an issue. All these little things that you're not going to be able to cope with if you follow your plan too rigorously. If you've got the week, you're sort of like, oh well, I've got to do this on Thursday, so perhaps I'll have my rest day on Thursday this week, and I'll just shuffle it out. Just keeping a few sort of principles of sort of like how many days I'm going to go out, not having 2 or 3 hard sessions in consecutive days, and just shuffling it about a bit like that. I think that's it's like everything. You have to learn from experience, don't you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. But it doesn't matter if it's marathon training or catch the 5K. I was telling the ladies on Monday night, oh, this is I run, done this too fast and I get out of breath, or all this sort of nonsense, all these preconceptions, all this. Oh, I'm going to look stupid. Oh, I'm going too slow. Oh, I'm doing this. I said, why are you worried about it? Just go out, go at this pace, right? Which was a super, super easy pace, and just go and do that for 30 minutes. Do a run walk, but if you walk for a little bit longer than what you should be running, who cares? Just focus on getting out a couple of times a week, come back next week, job done. Honestly, it can be a real negative impact on your training because you're almost beaten before you start. And that's why I use the phrase, get rid of all that baggage, that excess baggage. You don't need that weight that on your shoulders and in your mind, effectively weighing you down. You're beaten before you start. And
also, I mean, what goes along with this is comparing yourself to other people and what other people are doing, doesn't it?
Yeah, Hayden. he'll know. He'll get that. I'm not going to say anything other than Hayden. He messaged me today.
But, you can get in a bit of a mess, particularly, this. I think this is where the community is good because there's always people out there that will answer you and put you on the straight and narrow. There are people who will answer and say, "Look, just don't worry about it. Just calm down." And people need that. You do need that reassurance, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing, and in the community, if you're not part of it, if you're watching on somewhere else, you're not part of the Facebook community, FORDY Runs Facebook community, join that. But there's people in there who are more experienced than me, Al, and there's people in there who know more about different things and whatever. So get people's opinion, or like we do on a club night, whether it be a satellite club or whatever. Just ask other people's opinion, have a chat with them about what's going on and that kind of stuff.
You can also gain reassurance that people are going. I found this regularly, during marathon training, that it's great reassurance that other people are feeling the same way that you do and are having the same.
Yeah.
Even if they're like, oh yeah, I feel like that. I feel crap on some days, and
that
gives you a sense of even if it doesn't present you with any sort of instant solution about what to do about your dilemma or anything like that, it does actually help you. That just the sort of like the camaraderie, the fact that you're not the only one who feels like this, because you ain't. Because you're not thinking, if you do anything like this, you're not going to feel anything that somebody hasn't felt before.
And you usually feel the same thing at the same time, which is why it's so nice. Go back to, Monday night, that we started off 15 of them all together. They're all going to be going through the same thing at the same point. So they've got that, together, and they'll go through that journey. We'll lose some along the way because we always do. But they'll go along that journey together, and they'll find out the same things, but they've got each other. You know what I mean? And that's where running is so powerful for
Toby,
you.
have you got any sort of tips for getting this sort of stuff out of your head?
I just like the fact you go out and just forget about it all.
You're just such a laid back geezer, aren't you? He's horizontal. He doesn't worry about this sort of stuff.
He turned up on last Saturday, 16 mile with his headphones. They didn't last long, did they, Tobe?
No, the battery went. I was very unorganised.
The battery went on him, which is like the worst thing that could happen to him.
Yeah.
So he couldn't
Tomorrow
even
be fully charged.
he couldn't even sort of mute me out a little bit, right? He had the full 2.5 hour experience. 2.5 hours. Can you imagine?
Gosh.
That was
imagine this, folks. Imagine this chat going on for 2.5 hours. And it's
That's what I'm saying. This is basically when I go out with Tobe, it's basically this. What you're listening to is this for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but at least they've got Wilco and Al to break it all up. I've literally just got you.
Yeah. No, but it's good
and
for
your dodgy watch.
No, you've got that. Did you replace it, by the way?
My watch is fine.
No, apparently it's long. Anyway, what was the? Have we had any comments? Questions are coming in.
Well, I thought we were going to let Wilco come with our second and third points.
Yeah, do you want to do it? Let's get some questions done.
They're all shoe related, and I've not worn any of them, so it's over to you, Chris. So
all right, let's back them out. Wilco, should we back them out and then go back to point 2?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Well, before we go on to the trainers, I'll just say, just a reminder that you can get free tickets to next week's National Running Show at the NEC. Pop along to their website, use the code 40 runs, plural, and they'll look after you. So thanks very much to them. And, fancy a trip up to the second city and raiding loads of stalls and listening to loads of speakers.
Oh, you just reminded me. Big shout out Mel Howes. She knows why. Big shout out Mel Howes. We'll come on to bear on out of conversation. We'll come on to that probably next week's pod.
Ooh.
But just got to give her some love.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
Cheers,
it's a good one. It is a good one, but we'll come on to that on another pod, I think.
Lovely.
Yeah, right. So let's not.
Smash through these trainers' inquiries, mate.
So,
go.
Stephen Dorsey's been waiting very patiently. He's got 3 shoes he'd like your views on. Hoka Rocket X. Views, please.
Hang on, I'm reading it. I don't read this. Hold tight.
I was assuming you wasn't going to read it. That's why I was reading it out for you. Hoka Rocket X.
My favourite out of those is the DV8 Elite. They're the most fun, but I wouldn't racing them because they're more of a training shoe. I would wear the Pro 2 as my race day shoe, and I would train in the Elite. The Hoka Rocket X, to be honest with you, I'd go and buy the Adidas Takumi Sen 8. There we go. Next.
And then Edu Ingi wants to know about the Nike Invincibles.
Yours. Big seller. Absolute. They got me injured. So yours. No, not for me, but people like them. I've ran past somebody wearing them today, but for me, no. Waste of money. I know you can get them cheap, but they got me injured. It's that Zoom X. But don't forget, I do pronate on occasion when it suits me. And they did put me into the osteo for a considerable amount of time. I asked Tobe because I moaned about it for weeks.
So I heard about that one a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Thanks
Any others,
for the
Al?
inquiry, Edu. Anyway, sorry, mate. Well, this just goes to show that Chris he won't just give opinions and take the money and tell everybody that people's trainers are wonderful. If he doesn't get on with a particular pair, you can trust that his views are independent. And
if it's Pony, I'll say it's Pony. There's no ad placement. We don't get paid for the stuff that we get sent. If they pay us, then we say it. Well, you should say it up front, and you should also say, if it's if it is any form of whatever, you should say that. And you should make that absolutely clear, whether that sort of stuff's been paid for and stuff like that. But we don't get paid. Obviously, the stuff's gifted, but we are allowed to say. Oh, I say what I want. There is a. If you look, there is a reason that I haven't been recently reviewing Brooks running shoes, for example. Just heads up. But Wilco, let you in a little secret, bruv.
Oh, go on.
Cheeky little GTS 22's arrived.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, cheeky little pair of GTS 22. So,
And I like the GTS Adrenaline 21s.
funny enough, they look
and the
exactly the
20s.
same as the GTS probably version 2. But there we go. So, yeah, I actually sourced them myself because for some reason Brooks didn't send them to me.
Oh.
Even though I made a nice 80s intro for Brooks today, because obviously that's where all their designers are stuck. Right. Shall we
So
move on to?
yeah, we'll move on to the second bit, because we've talked about your first one, which was getting rid of all your mental baggage before you think. And the second thing that you talked about was mixing up your routes and your different runs.
Really, really important. And I'm just as guilty of this. And I think I was filming at the time one of my usual routes. Now I'm very lucky I got the river, right? So I plow up and down that. But if you get stuck running the same routes, what tends to happen is you get that memory thing coming where you end up running the same pace. So the easiest thing, little tip, is run your usual route backwards, right? Number one tip. Run it backwards and run it at a different pace. Try it first, because it's even harder to run it really, really slow. Run it as slow as you can. But by mixing up your runs and your routes and what you're doing on them, again, up here will make a huge difference, because it just freshens everything up. If you're, example, going into your third half marathon training block and you're running exactly the same routes that you've been running for 3 years, well, it kind of gets it. You get into a bit of a rut. It's that saying, isn't it? It's if you start doing the same thing, it creates that rut, and you can't get out. But you need to put something over it to create the rails so that you can go in a different route. And it's
so how much of that rut is that route?
A lot of ours.
How much of that rut is a mental thing, and how much is it a physical thing?
I think it's connected, because I find if I run a fresh route, I would say the first time I go at it, I do generally run them easy, because I get lost, and I get lost a lot. I still get lost going in Harlow, right? So whatever. But after you've run it once or twice, if you then start, attacking it in different ways, it can really freshen it up, because you think to yourself, actually, if I run fast to this point, or I've got lampposts that I can use as points of reference if I'm doing some form of fartlek, or I'm going to be doing a tempo run. It's a nice, straight, even section. And I can, you can just freshen it up. And I think actually the two are connected. It does work out quite well in being able to mix it up, but it does actually increase your performance. It's like running up the same hill. If you've only got one hill around you, then after a while you get kind of bored, and your brain's like, oh, it's this again. But if you go to a new hill and try it, it can have that positive impact on your performance. And it all goes back to what I say. It's all about that effort level. And I think actually point 3, if I remember rightly, is
we'll get onto that in a bit.
But it's all about what you put into that session. If you're doing the same thing, same routes, it can, like, even just putting on a different pair of running shoes to go and run the route can make a difference. It's those sort of things, and it just freshens up the training. It should give you a new impetus in what you're doing, in a way.
So, Al, there seems like there's plenty of scope for sort of experimentation on these sort of things.
Yeah, and picking up on the theme of finding new routes, I've just started to do something called Run Every Street. So go and find those routes. So there's lots of things to be said about comfort and familiarity, but go out and actively try and run every street in your neighbourhood or in your town or in your locality, because it will, as Chris says, it will freshen up your route, but actually you will find places of interest to run in future, and you will find things out about your local town that you didn't even know. So that's something I've started to do to try and keep that fresh.
If you've moved, I was talking to Rachel, who comes from Hartford. She's moved to Hartford from up north about 6 weeks ago or stuff like that, and she's been coming regularly on a Tuesday night. And I said to her, and she agreed, it's a great way to find being on foot and going out running. It's a great way to find your feet when you're in a new place, in a different environment, to get out and try different things, and you get to know places on foot that you wouldn't just getting in the car and driving to Tesco's and things like that.
I just want to clarify the thing about running your route backwards. I was just reading an article this week about the new big thing for 2022, and it is actually running backwards. Not running your route backwards, but running backwards. So we'll have to do a little bit of research into that.
No, I tell you out. It's a great drill. We do it in. I do it in the warm up when we're doing some technical stuff.
Yeah.
In the summer, Toby, you've seen me do this, haven't you? Where we make people as part of the warm up to engage your glutes. It's a real good muscle builder. It's part of the warm up is to run backwards. You've got to do. I do it on grass just in case any like Claire comes and she falls over. But if you do it on grass, it's softer. But running backwards in short spaces and with slight repetitions is actually good. You are
like
right.
a lot of these things, it comes from America, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen a video of something of people running the New York Marathon backwards.
There's probably somebody's done it backwards. Yeah. I wonder if there's a Guinness Book World Record of somebody running something backwards. If there's not, Tobe can do it.
Yeah.
You do a mountain backwards. What do you reckon?
Yeah, you could do. What, run up it backwards?
Yeah.
You don't really have any good ideas, do you? I think you should concentrate on redecorating the production room because it looks embarrassing. It actually looks worse than last week.
Look, I mean, you're killing two birds with one stone. If Nicola's got you doing downstairs doing a bit of decorating, you're going to pop round Tobes and give his.
That's a good point. So tomorrow,
his little office a lick of paint.
Epic 18-miler.
It will be with my headphones on.
What Wilco's saying is, after we've beaten the KFC and destroyed all their vegan food, we then go back to yours and spray it and spray the walls white with paint.
White.
Yeah.
Does that mean Al's coming? He likes a bit of white, doesn't he?
Yeah, he likes white. Al, would you paint in your white Hoka Mac 4s?
Absolutely. Just with a flashy yellow, maybe orange around the trims.
He's so proud of his Mac 4s. Actually, to be fair, he wore them on Thursday. They did look good. I did have mine are black, and they're sort of in the garage feeling a bit sorry for themselves. But they got the new ones coming out, the Supersonic, so I'm going to wait for them, I think, because I'm a big fan of those.
I'll just get told off about my new shoes. Apparently, they clash. Sabrina keeps telling me.
Tobe really has not got a clue about anything, as we know, right? But he's got another pair of shoes that don't go with anything that he wears. He's got his blue shorts that don't go with anything that he wears. And now he's got these light blue shoes that don't go with anything he wears.
It's the only pair they had in my size.
Al, you're going to have to sort the boy out.
Okay.
Just like big feet problems.
Sorry, what would you talk? Have we got any more questions before we move on to point 3, Al?
No.
Oh, I did see one. Somebody was asking about tapering.
It's not. He had one job.
Yeah, this is it.
There we go. Al, did you see the question?
No, that one. I've not seen that one.
Thank you, Al.
You've been hiding
from nap time,
Toby. From me.
Al, what did you have at the home for dinner tonight? It must have been good because you were in a bit of a carb coma.
I've been prepping my vegan sausage and bean casserole.
Don't lie. There's no vegans. There's no vegan sausage in that, Al. There's no vegan sausage in that.
Rosemary and pea protein.
Yeah. It's not chance in hell.
There you go.
There's vegan sausage.
Anyway.
Right, sorry.
People don't want to listen to us jabbering on about what Al's having for tea. They'd like
added value
training advice.
Yeah, because this is the biggest podcast in Malta, and that's what people tune in for. Right.
They love the game. They love it in Malta. Down Valletta Way and Salima and places like that. They love it.
Love it.
Okay, so how would you taper if you're doing two marathons 2 weeks apart?
Would you taper? I would taper for the first one. It depends. Again, I think we spoke about this before. Usually, if you're doing 2 marathons quite close together, I would pick one that I would be using as my sort of A race out of the 2. One's A, one's B. I would taper down to both. I would taper to whichever one's your A race. If your second race is your one you're going for, then start your taper in accordance with that being your race day, and use the other one as a 20-miler with a little bit chucked on the end. I would, that's how I would do it. It depends. Let us know in the comments which one are you doing first. If you're doing the A race first, then taper down normally as that, and then just recover between the 2. Tick over, take it easy. Don't put any stress through your legs, and just make sure your recovery's on point more than anything else, and that you hydrate the hell out of your body, and you're getting plenty of protein to repair those muscles. And then I would go into your second marathon. But I would taper down as normal, depending on which race you was going to use as your sort of A race out of the 2. I think does that.
Al, do you agree?
Yeah, Chris already picked up on it. Hydration, I think, between the two, and fueling is probably more important than any running. I'd invest in a good foam roller as well. So,
that's nasty.
No. There's two types. You don't want to go for those ones that look like tractor tyres because they will just rip you to shreds.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nice, smooth one that will just ease out those muscles after marathon one. So
massage.
If you know the sports masseur and you've done it before, I wouldn't go straight into a massage if you've never done it before, because it could end up kind of causing more problems than it solves. So it depends if it's already part of your routine, I'd say, on that one.
Yeah, I'd be very careful with sports massages if you're between races, because don't forget, it's all about inflammation, isn't it? So you've got to be careful you're not making stuff worse. You've got to let stuff repair, right? That's the key. You're going to be tearing up muscles and things like that and putting stresses through the body.
Someone's thrown in ice baths.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do that, great. Again, everybody's different, right? As we always say, but the most important thing for me is the hydrate and let your muscles repair and top up on the old protein side of things, personally. But there was a question now. Sorry, we just answered the question.
Yeah, that's right. We'll
don't worry, Al, we got it.
Don't worry.
We'll
rest that, mate.
Yeah, take it easy.
Okay, so part 3 of the 3 things to look forward to doing, boosting your chances of having a successful training plan. Effort levels.
Hang on, I was taking a picture of the old social media.
He's getting distracted now. He's getting complacent.
No, it's because someone's got to do the social media stuff if you're not following at @FORDY_runs and the long run show thing at whateveris.com Instagram page. I was just taking a picture of that. What was the point?
We were talking about effort levels.
Yes.
Point 3.
Point 3, effort levels, people. So, last thing, and again, go back to my point. This is for me to do as well as you. What I want you to do on your runs that you're doing as part of your training for whatever you're doing is to make sure that you commit to whatever effort level is required. So if you're running an easy run, make sure it is bleeding easy. Don't be, doing a Simon and going out doing 15 miles too fast like he did today. I told him to run easy. He's running a minute per mile too fast. You're meant to run those easy runs easy so you can recover and you can keep going on the rest of your training runs, right? Your medium-paced efforts, let's get a tempo run. Good example. Make sure that you do that at a medium effort. It should be at that point where it's quite painful, quite, annoying, but you still can carry it on. So, if you and I were doing a one-to-one session and we was out there turning up, Hartford on a Tuesday night and was doing 10K, I say to you, do you fancy another K? You'd probably swear at me, but you'd be able to do another kilometre. That's the point in which you need to be. But you need to be at that. You need to be up towards the top of your zone. So you are working hard, but not to the point where you're wrecking yourself. Because again, those medium efforts are meant to be recoverable from, so maybe you then do a bit of cross training in the afternoon or whatever, and you can then get back out on it the next day. That's the really important point. But what I find is that some people do their medium efforts probably in zone 3 in that no man's land, or they're going at zone 5 and wrecking their bodies. So, you've got to find that balance on those medium efforts, but you need to commit to that level of effort. And it's the same with those higher efforts. I make, you guys, I joke about with you guys and I call it death pace, or, we use the sick pole in Broxbourne, those sort of stuff where I'm looking for you guys to really commit, to really go in those higher efforts. So you are, crying because it's hurting so much, because that at that point is where you're really making massive gains in terms of, your overall speed, stamina, fitness, everything, and also mental capacity to hold that level of speed, that level of effort for that short period of time. A high effort should be contained and maxed out, but over a short space of time, so you get the real benefit of it. If you're doing a really hard effort, you shouldn't be able to hold it for long, but you want to max out those sessions. If you're not, and you might think you are, but I guarantee you're not. It's like Petra. You watch Petra, and unless I'm shouting and chasing after her, she is not working at the top of her operating ceiling, because she's got so much more in there. Wilco, you've seen her. Just as an example, sorry, Petra, picking on you again, but she's such a good runner, and she's got so much more in the tank. But the only thing that holds Petra back is Petra. But she's got so much better since she's been coming with us on a Tuesday at pushing harder. She did it the other night when we did those 300-meter repeats, and she did commit to that. But there is that point in which you really, really, really need to say to yourself, I'm going to give it everything I've got in this session. But it is the complete opposite, again, with those easy sessions. And that's what I refer to, because, again, I'm just as guilty as everybody that I teach, right? And I try, but some days you're just not feeling it. Some days you just think, it's not there. But when you're trying to, break your week down, again, talk about baggage, when you're breaking your week down, try and focus on those, those 1 or 2 key runs that are going to make the difference in your training. And that's really, really important. And that's what I try and teach, all my students, is to commit to those really, strong sessions that will make the difference to your training.
So Al, you shouldn't just go out for a run. You should have some sort of strategy and for what you're going to get out of that.
In an ideal world, every run has a purpose, and that purpose can be running really slow. That purpose can be to recover. That purpose can be to run short, sharp, fast intervals. And there is a danger that and it comes back to that first point about getting too worked up about the plan, feeling like you got to run. We talked about run streaks last week, that you feel you just got to go out and run, and it doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you're running, you're going to be fine. No, sometimes it's better to not run, reflect, and then next time you go and run with a purpose.
But then also, there's still the thing is sort of like, I need to get out just to clear my head and just.
Oh yeah, no, put that
100%.
I did that this week. I found myself going down a dark hole, and all the things that was my mind was crying out was just to go out and run. That's different. Put that to one side. That was, even if that was a rest day for me, and I was in that situation where I was in, I still would have gone out and run, because that's my release. That's my thing that I need to do to figure life out and to continue along the path of, trying to keep the boat upright. That's different, I would say. We're talking about when you're starting a journey in terms of whether you're going from couch to 5K or to a marathon or to a PB at a marathon, where you are. But in terms of, running for various different reasons, I would say put that to one side on what we're talking about personally.
I see somebody said, is there a place for easy runs where your heart rate stays zone 1 to 2? I would suggest about 80% of the time you're out.
Yeah, I'd be doing all your easy runs there.
It's not an option, it's a must. Yeah.
It's a must. If you're doing anything, we run. So tomorrow, right, me and Silly Nuts over there, who we're gonna, that's you. We're gonna run zone 2, no more. We're not looking at pay. I know he's got a dodgy watch that goes long and he's out all the time with his GPS, but we're going to be running along, heart rate monitors attached, and we're going to be staying within zone 2. We can give a monkeys what the pace is. It's all about staying within that zone 2. Now, you've got to remember, Tobe is 10 years younger than me, right? So at the end of the run, he will be finishing before me, probably also doing more distance because his watch is so inaccurate. But we will, at the end, he will finish before me because of that age gap and because he's fitter than me, basically, bottom line. Because I will only be able to hold that zone 2 not as long as him, because I'm not as fit as Tobe because he's 10 years younger. You've got to remember that. But we will do the majority of the run together and in zone 2. That is our aim. So if you're looking to do easy pace runs, that is exactly the zone you should be in. But just make sure, unlike Tobe with his watch, that you have got the right equipment that is accurate and giving you a perfect readout in terms of what your heart rate and what your zones are. Because don't forget, you need to check. And we've talked about this before, about how to, redo your zones and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's bang on, isn't it, Al?
Absolutely.
Don't let Toby.
Yeah. And Ian, got the ratio spot on as well. About 80% of your run should be in that zone 1 to 2.
I read that.
Look at you and they go, how am I going to run fast if I'm always running slow? You got to trust. You got to trust the plan. You got to trust the science. You got to trust.
I read somewhere sub 2 hour marathon man Eliud Kipchoge. What does he run his easy pace runs at? Between 5 and 5.5 minute kilometers.
Yeah.
What does he do? Speed sessions at the bloody clappers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what he does. His easing, his recovery runs are that slow. I've told people, you're going out and you're doing 10K like this as a practice run. The fastest bloke in the world doesn't do that. Calm down.
Yeah.
Take your time. Take in the scenery.
Yeah. Enjoy
An
Mother
audio
Nature's
book.
part, you know.
Enjoy yourself. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. That's what we're out there. Remember, people, we're out there to enjoy ourselves. That's the most important thing, right? We've gone over 3 tips or hints or things that we should all be doing. But bottom line, you should be enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's the
We've got to
number
try
one.
that. Yeah, but in a way, following these sort of things, they will probably help you. They're going to try and help you to achieve what you want to achieve, and that will be, that'll be good for your mental well-being as well, and your physical well-being. Doing all this training and stuff like that, you're getting so much fitter than the bloke who's just sitting there eating a bag of crisps, watching Netflix on his sofa.
Oh, that might be me tonight.
Might
What?
it? Oh well, perhaps there is a room for that. Well, that's 20%.
They will be, but they will be vegan versions because Mrs. Ford got me these vegan ones. Oh my life! I could eat about 8 bags of them. They're unbelievable.
Vegan doesn't equal healthy, right?
Now, Al, can we just touch upon this because you did say that there was a post in the week, and we talked about the vegan thing that you were saying that lots of people, asking advice. Good to see people trying it, but you did say you don't want to eat bad. You don't want to turn into a bad vegan eater. You don't want to eat vegan rubbish.
You can, yeah. So the options for vegans have improved immensely, but it also means you can be a vegan food junkie, junk food junkie. So yeah, for those viewers that are listening on the podcast, Chris is pointing at himself at this moment in time. So it's very tempting. Greg's vegan sausage rolls, McDonald's plant burgers, KFC.
You need 2 of those. You need 2.
Yeah, obviously
You don't. This is the point.
for your protein.
Are you going to listen or what?
As he's eyeing up the KFC menu.
Great smoothie. Get that fruit, get that blender, get that juice going.
I've had my NutriBullet out this week.
I can't beat it, can you? It gives you such a kick in the morning.
I saw Joe Wicks was talking about mango and ginger. I put a couple of stem gingers in it. Oh, beautiful.
Really
good.
Ginger gives it that lovely little kick. I love a little
yeah.
bit of
Yeah, so my NutriBullet is back in the game this week. One of them a day. Beautiful.
We're just like nutrition heroes to the world. I think that you can understand why the people in Malta tune into this every week, because the nutritional advice we give to people, I think we've converted most of Malta to veganism. And I think if you look, right, and I'm being serious, if you go on to www.nutribullet.com and look at their latest sales report, there's been a massive spike in Malta of people buying NutriBullets. If you look, honestly, check it out and let us know. Send an email into somethingrother.com and
longrunShow@gmail.com. You can
and
send
let us know if you're from
tell you
Malta
what,
and you've
emails.
got on it.
Send us what you like. We'd love to. None of them junk ones. We're not interested in winning the Nigerian lottery or your cryptocurrency or none of that. But if you've got anything that's sort of related to running or you think that we would appreciate, send it along to longrunShow@gmail.com. We'll take it off your hands. Blimey, that's an hour nearly.
Al, is that your microphone again playing up?
No.
We had this last week. Tobe, you're the producer. Whose microphone is it that's playing up?
Alan.
We're gonna have to get you a new. I think
you're the weakest player.
If you watch all these professional podcasters,
he's gone. He's had enough.
If you watch all these professional podcasters, right, they have these headphones on, right, and they look like pilots, and then they have like these mics and stuff. I'm wondering, Tobe, as the producer,
you just used the P word though.
Whether you what?
Professional.
Oh, there is that. But what we should do maybe is I should have gone back to the oven. What were they? The car cleaner? No, the oven one was the other one. The car cleaning people should have taken their money from them, right? And then Tobe could have invested that in some like audio stuff for us, so we can improve the quality. Of the audio.
When I move, I'm going to have the whole kit, all the big mics and all that sort of thing. Because we've dipped our toe in the water in the podcast thing, and we're still here. This could be a career for life, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean 10,000 people. I mean
30 shows now.
Is it number 30 today?
I believe it is.
Oh, we better stop. Let's do a marathon talk and just stop.
Yeah. We've reached 30. We've done it all now. We can't. There's
It
no
ain't going
room.
to get any better, is it? Let's be honest. If we're not going to take on a sponsor, if you are a sponsor and you do, loads of money, send it to us. But we're not going to invest in the equipment. Toe's not going to do anything with that soppy room of his. I mean, Al looks the most professional because at least he's in, some form of running. You boys look good in your branding. I'm sponsored by my friends tonight. Where are they? Hashtag unpaid. And that's about it, really. Al looks like Al does look like he's on the weakest link, doesn't he? Or is it? What's that other one on
Mastermind? He needs a black chair.
Mastermind, kind of
Mastermind,
a little bit.
You're like that chair on Graham Norton. Looks like it's going to fall back. And we've got like that thing that Graham Norton uses. So when his mic makes that noise, we can kick it back and we can.
It's a rocker. Yeah. If I rock hard enough, it will collapse.
No, don't, because otherwise
don't do it, mate.
I'll pick you up.
Public liability won't cover it.
No.
Thanks ever so much for joining us this week. It might not get much better than this, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see if it gets much worse. So please hang around and come back next week. 7:00 on YouTube and Facebook. We're always there, and you can download us as a podcast. You've probably done it already. It's on Spotify. It's on Amazon and Apple. They do podcasts as well, don't they? And all sorts of other people. Wherever you get your podcasts, you'll just put long run in and you'll find us. So we will be back next week. More stuff to talk about. We'll try and think of something to talk about in the meantime. Well, we'll actually discuss it at about 10 to 7 next Friday.
10 to 7 we'll work.
So that'll be about the time that we get. So thank you very much for joining us again. Enjoy your running this week. Stay safe, everybody. And we shall see you at 7:00 next Friday.
See you later, everyone. Roll the titles, Tug.